Hello, Experiment Club. It's Mr. Sharon, and we are going on our, I believe it's fourth or fifth week of virtual classroom. And today's experiment, we're going to do an experiment. Being is that yesterday was Easter, I thought it would be fun to do an experiment with eggs. So, today we're going to talk about how to set up the lab. This is actually a lab that I wanted to do with you guys, but I couldn't figure out how to do it because it takes a few days and we only meet once a week. But then that's maybe a silver lining of this whole situation is that I can help you guys conduct experiments that you can continue at home and still be of assistance to you guys in providing activities that can maybe keep you busy at home. Right? All right, because you still got to be doing science. I'm sure you're still curious about the world and want to be learning, and we're all still supposed to be doing, I think, our daily charter school stuff. So here we go. Here's our egg experiment. So before you get started, I want you to get out some eggs. I suggest doing 2 to 3, but you can just do 1 if eggs are in short supply. Some vinegar, a cup. You're going to need some water, some food coloring, and some corn syrup. Now, if you don't have corn syrup, this is just kind of an extension. You don't have to use the corn syrup, but it is really cool. So we're going to set up the experiment. We're going to pause, and then we're going to conduct the experiment, and then we'll come back for our part 2 video and talk about what happened, okay? So the first thing is our experiment question, and hopefully you got in the email or on Edmodo and printed out your Experiment Club lab sheet. So the first thing is the question, and our question today is what happens to an egg if we put it in vinegar? Pretty simple, right? Eggs, we're used to eating eggs all the time. Maybe you dyed some the other day, and we're used to vinegar being in the house, make pickles with it, clean with it. I use it a ton to clean. Okay, so our question is what happens if we put an egg in vinegar? And so let's talk about some background information that we might already know. You may already know that an egg, some stuff about eggshells. What do you know about eggshells? Well, maybe you know that they're hard. Maybe you know that they're different colors. You might even know what they're made of. So if you know those things, go ahead and write those down. You might also know some things about vinegar. And if you remember back to our first day together when we did the pH lab, you might remember some of the properties of vinegar. So write those down. And you might know a little bit about corn syrup. You know that it goes in a lot of stuff and it's sugary sweet and it tastes maybe good, but it's not so good for you. And we're going to maybe learn a little bit about why that is. So if you know anything about corn syrup, you might want to write that down too, okay? So some background information maybe about eggshells, eggs, vinegar, and corn syrup. All right, and so then now the next step on your lab sheet is your hypothesis. Now, what do you think is going to happen when you put the egg in vinegar? Something's going to happen pretty quick. It takes a while, but you can see the reaction that happens pretty quickly. So think about what might happen when you put that egg in the vinegar and write that down for your hypothesis, okay? And then the materials are listed, like I already said. And then here's your procedure, okay? So this is what you're going to do to set up your lab. And I have mine going down in my kitchen already. So the first step is to get an egg and put it gently in a cup. All right, I'm doing 3 just because I wanted to maybe have an example of each of the phases that I can show you. You're going to fill your cup with vinegar just enough to cover your egg. You're going to let it sit for 24 hours, the whole day. I know that's hard. When you're done with your 24 hours, carefully take the egg out, put it back in. Take the egg out, dump your vinegar, put the egg back in the cup and put fresh vinegar in, okay? And then you're going to let it sit for another 24 hours. All right? Then, after the second 24-hour period, you're going to remove the egg completely and you're going to see something that happened, okay? And when you see what happened, I want you to take a flashlight and shine it through too, okay? So that you can maybe actually see some things inside the egg, maybe. Now, when you're done soaking your egg in the vinegar for 2 days, if you have corn syrup, I want you to put the egg back into the glass and cover it with corn syrup and see what happens. It's very interesting. Then you're going to take the egg out of the corn syrup and observe it. And then you're going to put it in another glass with water that you've colored with food coloring. Okay? So, egg, glass, vinegar, 24 hours. Change, egg, glass, vinegar, 24 hours. Change, observe and flashlight. Change, egg, corn syrup, 24 hours. Observe. Egg, water that's been colored with food coloring, 24 hours, observe. Okay? And on your lab sheet, your Experiment lab sheet, there's spots for you to write down what you observed. And then when we talk about part 2, in a part 2 video, the explanation, we will talk about what's happening. And you're going to learn a lot about vinegar, and you're going to learn a lot about eggs, and you're going to learn a lot about some good scientific stuff. This is actually one of my, besides the pH experiment, I think this is one of my favorite experiments of all time. It's just so fascinating what happens, and we can learn so much from it. So I hope that you have those things laying around. I'm sure you have eggs since it's Easter time, right? Hopefully they're not all hard-boiled, because this will work differently. Oh my gosh, I just had a genius idea. But this will work differently with hard-boiled eggs. You need to use a fresh egg that's still goopy on the inside, okay? All right, so have fun. I'll see you back in a few days.